Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hey everyone, welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, the show where you give us your wonderful questions and we give you some half-decent answers in return. This week we've got two absolutely fantastic questions coming up, but before we do, let's give you a quick reminder of how you can get on the show.
Yep, there's just one place to go, which is propertyhub.net/ask. When you get there, you will find a way of leaving us a voice message for the show or a written message for the Sunday Times. But we love your voice messages most of all because we love to hear you on the show, just like we're about to for Dave.
Hi, Rob and Rob. I've listened to your show for over 5 years now, but I took a bit of a detour in the last year, so I've got a bit of catching up to do. But due to your content, it did encourage me to buy a few houses. And currently I'm in a situation where I think I might need to sell one of them. That's more due to kind of personal reasons, but I'm also considering what I think not many people or not enough people is talking about the state of the country, where it's going, where it's headed, you know. And I think it's quite clear that maybe a recession is even due. And if that is, will that be next year? I just wondered your thoughts on this. And if you think, like, I remember you spoke about a silent crash a few years ago, but, you know, could an inevitable crash happen in the next year? I'm losing a bit of faith of the housing market in this country, especially as I don't have masses of properties that I own. I've only got 1, 2, you know. So yeah, it's really hard for me to feel like I need to push forward with this type of investment, maybe see what other options are out there. Happy to hear your thoughts. Thanks very much. Love your show.
Dave, thank you for your question. Now, you've asked for our opinion, so I will give it, but you might not like my opinion. My opinion is you should relax. Recessions will happen. Absolutely will happen. Might happen next month. Might happen next year. It might happen in 5 years. But when it does happen, who cares? Unless you are investing for a 1 year period or a 2 year period, or you're doing flips, so how the market performs may be really important to you. Unless that's the case, then most of the time you should just be okay with it. Because the thing is with property is that if you do have a recession, then you may find that there are better deals to be done. So when the property market is weaker, you can do better deals. And when the market is red hot, it's a good time to own property. And if you've built your portfolio out, great. But it's not great for building a portfolio. It's okay, but it's not great. I'd rather build in a cool market than a hot market. And for most people who listen to this show, they'll be holding for the long term. And over the long term, you will have ups, you'll have downs. And that's just part of the game. So I wouldn't overthink this. I'd just carry on as you are. Let the market do its thing. The underlying fundamentals for property investment in the UK have not changed. There are plenty of people in this country. In fact, the number's increasing all the time. We haven't built enough homes for decades now. It's not only considered a great asset in this country, but internationally. So that's why so many foreign investors pile into UK property as well, because it's a safe haven for money. There's so many reasons why property works and will continue to work that I would not be concerned. But do I think there's going to be a recession in the next couple of years? Well, yeah, it could happen. But do I think a property crash will happen in the next few years? No, I really don't. Historically, we've had one of the worst ever property cycles because of such low growth over such a long period of time. And normally, you need a boom before a crash. Not even got close to a boom. And as you've identified, we've had a silent property crash. So property prices have rebalanced quietly anyway. So I think you're good, Dave. As long as you take the long-term view, you'll be fine.
Okay, let's hear our second question from Jack.
Hi, Rob and Rob. My name's Jack. I love the podcast. Thanks for all the content you put out. I'm 24 and I've learnt so much from you guys. My question is around capital gains tax and potential exemptions. I bought a flat on a 5-year fixed residential mortgage in 2020 and lived in it initially for about a year, planning to stay long-term. But as I'm a professional footballer, I had to relocate for work and ended up moving away for 4 years. I got consent to let from my lender and rented it out during that time. Now I've moved back to the area and resumed residency. I know that normally if you rent out a property, you're liable for capital gains tax when you sell, but are there any exemptions or allowances because I had to move away for work? I've read about things like private residence relief, but I'm not sure what might apply in my case. I haven't sold the property yet, but might do in the summer, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks very much.
Jack, thank you for listening. Thank you for your question. So when it comes to capital gains tax, as you probably know, people don't pay capital gains tax on their own residence, but they do pay it on rental properties. So when you have a property that has served both functions, you end up basically doing both. So let's say you sold the property right now and you were living there for 1 year out of 5. You effectively would end up paying 80% of whatever the total capital gain is, because 20% of the time you were living there, therefore immune from capital gains tax, and the other 80% of the time the property was rented out, so there is capital gains tax to pay. Actually, it's not quite that simple, but I don't want to complicate the maths, but you get a little bonus in this situation, which is unusual from HMRC, but they give you the last 9 months for free. So if you have a property that you lived in and you rented out, in your situation, you're back living there again, so this wouldn't apply. But if you have a property that you lived in, then rented out, and you sold it with rental having been the last activity, you still get to count the last 9 months as if you lived there. Don't know why, but that's just a little bonus that HMRC gives you. So that's the most common calculation. But there's something else called deemed occupation. And this is a special exemption where if you had to move out because of work and you couldn't live in the property. And as you're a footballer and you had to move for work, by the sounds of it, it sounds like this could apply. And that would mean that you would be exempt from capital gains tax for that period. And that applies even if you rented the property out in the meantime, which you did. So unfortunately, Jack, what that means is I can explain some of the general principles, but it sounds like the details in your case could be important, so I can't give you an actual answer. So what I would recommend doing if you are looking at selling is go and have a word with a tax advisor. And they should be able to tell you, looking at the facts, how much of the capital gains tax you can get relief from. So I know that's not a nice, neat answer. Unfortunately, in tax, there seldom is, but at least that gives you an idea, hopefully, and some next steps to take. So good luck, Jack.
And you know what? You're in luck because we will be back on Thursday with the Property Podcast. So make sure you join us then. Until that wonderful event takes place. Take care. Have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.